What's up everyone, Terraquake here, and welcome to the next Pokemon walkthrough series here on the channel. And this one I am super pumped for because it is time to play through the Generation 2 remakes, which are Pokemon HeartGold and Soul Silver, of course. And these are my favorite Pokemon games of all freaking time. That's right, Pokemon HeartGold was the first ever Pokemon game that I got. So I have the Nostalgia Collection. I also just love the Johto region. I love the post-game in these games. There's so much you can do, and I think, you know, the general Pokemon fan base can agree that Pokemon HeartGold and Soul Silver are great games. They're nowhere near, like, the bottom of the Pokemon games. Of course, there's probably some people out there that think they are, but in my opinion, these are just the best Pokemon games. And yeah, now I'm going to begin doing a walkthrough for them. This will be, what, our 6th walkthrough, I think, because we've done Blue, Silver, Ruby, Fire Red, and Platinum, which we just got done with yesterday. So it is time to take on our 6th walkthrough and travel through the Johto region, as well as the Kanto region. I do plan on doing the post-game, and do not restart the intro. I was literally about to hit A. And here we go. We can start the introduction. So real quickly, I'm gonna make sure that I don't need any info. Currently on the bottom screen right now, you know, it's asking if you need help with the controls or anything like that. And now Professor Oak will greet us. Of course, he was reading a book. I think in the original games he actually slept in by accident. And yeah, it's kind of weird that Professor Oak greets you in the Johto games, even though Professor Elm is like the Johto regional professor or whatever. So that's kind of a weird oddity with the Johto games. I think the same goes for Generation 2. Anyways, a Meryl pops out of the ball. It's hopping up and down. And now Oak is going to ask us to tell us a bit about ourselves. So of course, I'm a boy, and I will call myself TQ like usual. We don't have enough character spaces until like the Nintendo Switch games, so for now we just cut Terraquake short by calling myself TQ. And that's really all we have to do. No naming your rival until a little later on, so we shrink down into miniature size in order to fit in the Pokemon world, because if we didn't do that, we'd be like a freaking giant walking around. And we are going to begin in our lovely little house here in New Barktown. Don't bother with the PC, there's not really much you can do here. Let's just head on downstairs and see our mom. Our dad is just straight up non-existent in this game, so our mom is here to give us some useful stuff. I think she'll give us a bag, the settings, and all this stuff will be located on the bottom menu. And there's one thing I'm going to do immediately that I'm sure you guys will already know what that's going to be. It has to do with the options. There's your little hint. And yeah, she also said that Lyra was looking for us. Lyra is like one of our neighbors that we'll see throughout the game. And Professor Elm was looking for us. Also, real quickly, I'm going to kind of switch around the type of the window frame that we have here. And I think I like window type 8 because it kind of matches HeartGold and like the golden background that I'm using right now on the screen that you guys are seeing, so that's pretty neat. And as we walk out of our house, freaking Meryl's gonna run up to us, and that is actually Lyra's Meryl. Yeah, she's just showing off that she has a Pokemon before us. She's gonna be like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Meryl, didn't mean to do that. But no, that was definitely planned. She's trying to brag to us that we have a Pokemon, or that she has a Pokemon and we don't, and then she's just going to walk away. So it is time to move on over to the lab. Now, real quickly though, there's a little suspicious looking man staring into the window. So this is the famous Elm Pokemon Lab. And then all of a sudden, he's just gonna kick us out of the way and go right back to staring inside. So yeah, freaking violence in Pokemon games, whoever thought. But let's head on inside the house, or the lab, and talk to Professor Elm. So he has a little request for us, and that request is thanks to an email that he got from Mr. Pokemon, one of his good friends who actually lives a couple of routes over from New Barktown, and he's going to give us 3 Pokemon in order to help us get there. Of course, those are going to be the starter Pokemon, and as with most of my walkthroughs, I already have my team planned out for this series, so I know which starter I'm going to choose, but I'll show off all 3 of them just in case. So, first up, we've got Chikorita, the Grass-type Pokemon, Cyndaquil, the Fire-type, and Totodile, the Water-type. Now, in the Pokemon Silver walkthrough, which I did months ago at this point, I decided to go with Chikorita, and don't get me wrong, I loved using Chikorita. Meganium was great, but I'm not going to use it for this series. I am also not going to be using Cyndaquil, even though I do love Typhlosion, but I'm going to be using my favorite of the three, Totodile. Totodile is the first ever Pokemon that I got in a Pokemon journey. As I said, HeartGold was my first game, and Totodile was the starter I chose. So I just have such a great connection with Totodile, and I will be using him once again. Now, don't worry, I won't be having like a super basic team. As with most of my walkthroughs, I plan on using a relatively unique team. And looks like we can start off by giving a nickname to Totodile. And I don't really know what I want to do, so you know what? This is the first thing that popped into my head. Gatorade. I guess I am sponsoring Gatorade now. Hey, Gatorade, if you do want to sponsor me, I mean, I'd be down, but yeah, Gatorade. Haha. Heck yeah, because like Gator, and like he's an alligator, so I just thought of like Gatorade the drink. Alright, you know what? The name writer is located in like what's it called? Not Hearthome City, that's Gen 4. Goldenrod City. Wow, I say that I know these games so well, and apparently I don't. But yeah, we can always change his nickname later. But I like Gatorade, at least right now. Maybe it'll get pretty redundant. Anyways, before heading on out of the lab, one of Professor Elm's assistant will be so kind to give us some potions that will help us on our journey. And yeah, as you can tell, Pokemon follow you in this game. This was like a very popular, you know, attribute of these games. Many people loved it, and it finally made a return with like Scarlet and Violet and all that stuff. So yeah, Totodile is behind us, and now Lyra sees we got a Pokemon. Unfortunately, we'll never fight Lyra. I wish we could see like who's the better Pokemon trainer, but it's whatever. She's gonna go back to her house. And before we can head out of town, we're actually going to want to head back to our mom's house in order to chat with her one more time before we go out into the dangerous wilderness. So yeah, we tell her that Elm had a task for us, and now she's going to ask, well, first she's going to give us the Pokegear, and then she's going to ask if we want her to keep our money or if we want to keep all the money to ourselves. So this question is actually pretty important. Not that one, though. That's just asking if you know how to call people on the Pokegear. And, oh, wait, you know what? That question doesn't have to, or that question doesn't come until later on in the game. Also, speaking of later on, I'll get into the Pokegear a bit more. There's a bunch of different uses for it. But yeah, the whole question about your money doesn't come until a bit later. Right now, though, Professor Elm is going to burst out of his laboratory and make sure that he gives us his phone number. So that's just one of the features with the Pokegear. You can call a bunch of people. You'll probably automatically get a bunch of, you know, main character phone numbers like Lyra and Professor Elm and your mom. But there's a bunch of other trainers that, you know, you can rematch or get items from if you want. However, you do not have to give them your phone number. Anyways, this is Route 29. Now, we don't have Pokeballs yet, so I know whenever I get to a new route, I usually try to, like, explain the new Pokemon that you can get. For now, I'm not going to do that just because you can't even catch anything. However, you can grab a few items, beginning with a potion way up here, kind of back in the corner. But I guess right now we'll see one of the Pokemon on this route, which is Hoot-Hoot. I'm currently playing this game at night, so it makes sense that we're finding Hoot-Hoot. And, of course, in I think Gen 2 and the Gen 2 remakes, there is, you know, the time cycle and the time of day kind of will dictate what Pokemon you find in different areas. So, like, if you're playing during the day, you're not going to find Hoot-Hoot, but in the night, you will be able to find the normal flying type Little Owl. And let's grab the potion here. I guess I am just gonna start by fighting wild Pokemon since they're so easy to gain XP from at the start of the game. I get that the battles might take a while, but the end reward is very worth it. And let's see if we can find something else here, or is it just gonna be another Little Owl? It is, yeah, Hoot-Hoot is definitely the most popular encounter if you are playing at night. Just keep in mind, there are, you know, other Pokemon you can find. Don't start, like, raging when Hoot-Hoot is the only thing that you are running into. But currently, we're heading through Route 229. Route 29. Gosh, I gotta get used to not putting a 2 in front of every single route because we're just coming off the Pokemon Platinum walkthrough where, you know, every route in the game was Route 201, 202, 203. But yeah, this is just Route 29, and we're currently heading through it in order to get to Cherry Grove City. And if you paid attention to the dialogue from your mom and Professor Elm, basically Mr. Pokemon's house is located north of Cherry Grove City on Route 30. Real quickly, right here is a little gate that will lead you to Route 46. However, it's just a dead end, and there's only some wild grass there. However, there are some new Pokemon that I'll get to later. For now, let's keep on going through this grass. I'm going to try and get to level 6. I feel like level 6 is a pretty solid level, and I'm not sure if Totodile learns anything new at level 6, but I know like Cyndaquil and Chikorita, either 6 or 7, they get, you know, Razor Leaf and Ember. Now, Totodile, unfortunately, I'm pretty sure gets Rage first until level 8 or 9, it gets Water Gun. I don't know, that's just off the top of my head. I'm not 100% sure. But here is a Rattata, by the way. We've seen these plenty of times before in other series, just because it's a Rattata. They're like the most common Pokemon. And, oh no, you do get Water Gun at level 6. Alright, ignore what I was saying. I guess we get Rage a little later on. And, oh my gosh, we've got another Wildmon like 2 steps later. See, once we are able to get Repels, it is going to be much easier to go through routes without worrying about these, you know, very repetitive Wildmons. But this gives us an opportunity to test out Water Gun. Now, with Water Gun being on a water type, you're going to get Stab. If you don't know what Stab it is a same type attack bonus. So if you use an attacking move that's the same type as the Pokemon that's using it, you get a little bit of a boost in power. Anyways, we are now almost in Cherry Grove City. Right up there, kind of in between this little gap, you can see a glimpse of it there, is an Apricorn tree. We actually don't have the Apricorn Boxy yet, though, so don't worry about it for now. Instead, we're just going to make our way into Cherry Grove City and immediately get stopped by this guy. And he is the Guide Gent, or I guess Guide Gentleman. And he will kind of show you the basics. Now, he's running super fast, and that's because he's wearing the running shoes. Luckily, we'll be able to get the running shoes from him after we take this little tutorial tour with him. So we've got the Pokemon Center, it's going to heal all of your Mons. You've got the Pokemart, that's where you can buy all of your items. To the north is Route 2, I keep on saying 230, no, it is Route 30. Dude, I was just so used to Pokemon Platinum. We did 70 episodes of that series, so it might take a couple of videos for me to stop putting a 2 in front of all the route numbers. Anyways, right here, he says this is the sea. I find that kind of funny because, like, once you get surf, you're going to realize that's just like a dead end. That's not really the true sea or ocean. And here is the Guide Gent's house. And as I said, he will give you the running shoes. So now you just have to hold down B, or you can toggle it on the bottom screen. And you can run super fast, and you don't have to walk everywhere, which is very nice. At least you don't have to wait until after, like, the first gym like you do in Fire Red and Leaf Green. And just before we head north onto Route 30, he's going to stop you once again because he forgot to give us the town map. So if you're wondering what the Johto region looks like, you can check it out in your Pokegear. I guess technically it's called the map card, but, you know, same thing, same thing. So it's time to get a move on to Route 30, and this is a much longer route than Route 29, and it'll actually have some trainers for us to battle later. For now, we will pick up that potion, and then there's a pretty important house up here. And this is actually where we can get the Apricorn box. This lovely guy in here will be nice enough to give it to us. And basically, Apricorns can be used to become Pokeballs. You'll meet another guy named Kurt a little later on in the game, and you'll be able to give him Apricorns and get Pokeballs in return, or well, he'll make the Apricorns into Pokeballs. So that's kind of one benefit of going around and collecting Apricorns. There's different colored Apricorns, and the type of Pokeball depends on the color. I actually recently did a video over on the main channel, Terraquake, by the way, if you've never checked it out. And yeah, I did a whole Nuzlocke based around Apricorns and Apricorn trees. So if you're wondering what that was all about, then be sure to go give it a look. Alright, Rattata, I'm gonna take this easy EXP from ya and probably get close to leveling up to level 7. It's not a bad idea to gain 1 or 2 levels before heading back to Cherry Grove City after you see Mr. Pokemon, and you'll see why in tomorrow's episode. For now, let's get out of this annoying grass and pick up, I think this is an antidote. Indeed it is. Now, up ahead, there's going to be a, split in the path. You can't go to the left because these two guys are having a very intense battle between a Pidgey and a Rattata. I know, it's like the Pokemon VGC World Championships. So they won't let you through, so you're just going to have to go to the right and we'll run into more wild Pokemon. My goodness. Here's a Spinarak, though, something we have not seen yet, so that's kind of cool. Bug, poison type, and Spinarak's a pretty interesting Pokemon, I would say. I mean, I would love to use one on a team one day. Hint, hint. Anyways, Gatorade gets to level 7, and yeah, he's not going to get nothing new. Your Pokemon don't learn a new move like every single level. That would be freaking OP. So now if I run into something else, which I don't, then I would have run away from it. Real quickly, we'll grab this pink apricorn before heading on inside Mr. Pokemon's house. He kind of just lives isolated over here on Route 30 for whatever reason. Kind of a random spot for such a big name to live in. He's also being visited by Professor Oak. And yeah, Mr. Pokemon is eventually going to hand us the mysterious egg. And of course, this is actually a Pokemon egg that will hatch into Togepi. I'm sure you guys knew that by now. But we're supposed to take it back to Professor Elm's lab for further investigation. And then Professor Oak will come over and meet us, and he's kind of just going to introduce himself, even though technically we already got introduced with him and whatnot. He's a very slow walker, that's for sure. And then he will have to leave in order to go do a radio show in the Goldenrod Radio Tower, because he's just a busy man. He's very famous. I mean, Professor Oak's got to be like one of the most famous people in all of Pokemon, I'd assume. At least for us. I don't know about like people actually in the Pokemon world. He will give us the Pokedex too, by the way. Of course, that automatically records data of Pokemon that you catch. And he will also give you his phone number for your Pokegear. And then he is off to do that radio show. And Mr. Pokemon doesn't have anything left for us. So if we head on outside, we could start going back. But we're getting an emergency phone call from Professor Elm. Apparently a disaster has happened back at the lab. We don't know what it is, but we need to go find out what it is. And we won't be finding out until tomorrow's episode. So for now, I hope you guys enjoyed part 1 of our new series. I'm so excited to get this thing going. And yeah, have a great rest of your day. And until next time, deuces.